What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and this one I want to talk about the overall market and break down something very important for 2024. This is going to be one of the most important videos you watch about the markets. I'm going to talk about Tesla stock and also SPY and break down what I see happening for 2024, why I think the market's going to be pricing in a recession very soon, which could lead to some more downside. But for the end of the year, the second half of the year especially, I think we're going to end the year on a very strong note. I'm going to break down exactly why I believe that. I'm going to talk about the factors that are going to cause that and what my track record is in the past, how I've actually viewed the market and whether or not my videos have been correct. But before I break anything down, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and this offer ends very soon. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with the market. So let's go back a few months, guys. A few months ago, I released this video. It's a little hard to see here, but it's basically called Tesla stock may drop then squeeze in November. I said that back like when we barely were about to start November. I also told you all that in December, I'm expecting a big squeeze. And I actually made 2 videos about why I see the market squeezing in November. Now, the thing about this is, let me just find the other video right here. Will Tesla stock bounce in November? I was talking about a big November squeeze, but keep in mind the market was sinking at the time I made that video. And what I did is I looked at this cup and handle on SPY. This is what the chart looked like. I actually have the video up right here. This is proof of that. You could even look up this video if you don't believe me. But basically, I was saying there's this cup and handle forming on SPY, and we're going to end the year on a very strong note. SPY was at 430 at this time when I was recording this video. I even said this earlier on. I made other videos in the past where I mentioned it when it was at like 420 that this thing was going to bottom. We're going to see a big squeeze. So I mentioned this. And if you look at SPY, this is how it ended up playing out, right? You could see these back and forth. I know this one's a little bigger, right? The cup and handle, the November/December squeeze I talked about, it did play out. I was correct about this, and I warned you guys about this back in October. I'm sure many of you remember that, all right? But that doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I made a lot of mistakes too along the way. There were times where I thought the market had run so much that we had to see a little pullback, but we didn't really get much of a pullback. It just kept going and going and going. I even got caught off guard on some occasions as to how strong this squeeze was. So I'm very honest with you guys. I'm very transparent. I'm not trying to just sell courses or do anything like that. I'm just being as honest as possible. But you can't deny that you can't deny the fact that I was correct about this cup and handle on SPY. And then I also would kind of go over the chart and tell you that, hey, SPY is going to have a big effect on Tesla. Tesla's going to follow the trend and start pushing up. And that's what happened for Tesla. We got a very strong last 2 months of 2023 for Tesla. Got a nice close on Tesla too. And if anything, with Tesla pushing up and holding up nicely, the question is, what's going to happen for this year? What do I think is going to happen now? So now that I've given you guys some proof that a lot of my videos have merit, I've made very correct claims in the past. I do make mistakes every now and then, but I have been right in the past. What can I tell you about the future? What do I think is going to happen? And this is my simple view. Okay, when you look back at SPY, it hit 341-ish back in October 2022. That's when SPY bottomed. Do you guys remember that? SPY priced in the rate hikes super fast. The market priced it in very, very quickly. Tesla bottomed just a few months after when Elon Musk was selling, then Tesla's been on an uptrend since. So I was also correct that Tesla would have a very strong year for 2023. Remember, we started off very low. We were in the 100s. Tesla managed to reach $200 a share. You guys can see it right here. We started 2023 at 100, and then we closed above 200. So it was a strong year for Tesla too, technically on paper. So I've been correct about a lot of things. What do I see for the future? The answer is something very similar. And that sounds crazy, but once you see what I'm about to share with you, it's going to make a lot of sense. So what are some big factors? The first thing I have to remember is consumer sentiment. I think the market's going to be entering a cycle. And what's going to happen is, just like I was just hinting at, the market is very fast to price things in. And I think that it's going to quickly price in a recession. I think that's likely going to happen, or at least the fears of a recession will lead to that. I think it's going to be very fast. And then one of the reasons why I said the market's going to run is because of seasonality, because of the shorts, And then the other factor was the election year. They're not going to let 2023, or they wouldn't want to let 2023 be a very bad year for the markets if we had another election for the next year. So they let the markets run really hard and they continue to squeeze shorts since everyone was expecting a crash. So I think history is going to repeat itself. I will get into the chart in just a few minutes, guys. Let me just talk about a few more things. I know you guys are being very patient right now, and I appreciate that. So here's the cycle. What's going to happen is this, and this is what I think is going to happen. The market is going to correct. I'll show you the levels in a few minutes. Just be patient. People are going to become very fearful. They're going to start panicking all over again. And then we're going to see a shift in the options chain for SPY. We're going to see a big increase in the put and call ratio. People are going to start shorting like crazy. And that's why that's going to fuel another short squeeze over and over again. And I think that the last 6 months of the year for 2024 are going to be very strong. It's going to catch people off guard. Now, there are other factors such as what the Fed is doing. The Fed is expected to pivot and do 3 rate cuts or around that many for 75 basis points for this year. This is going to change depending on different economic factors. Now, I personally can't predict the future perfectly. It depends on wars and all these different factors I can't always predict. But I think I have a general idea of what's most likely going to happen as of right now. So when we approach these election years historically, okay, the market sometimes could correct a little bit before them. Sometimes that could happen. Sometimes it can happen like right here. And then we start pushing up. We tend to uptrend as we approach the election years. I think that's going to likely happen. They're not going to let the market crash going into the election year. I think that we're going to see the correction early on. They're going to price in the recession quickly. And then we're going to see a big recovery. It's going to be very fast. I think that's what's going to most likely happen. And that's my view of the markets. This is going to have a big effect on Tesla too. So remember, the election year, remember, I was saying this last year, guys, and people thought I was crazy when I said it. I told you a cup and handle was forming on SPY. Look at the cup and handle. It formed perfectly. We got this nice push up. We broke the highs. My point is, I was correct, and you can at least try to take what I'm saying into consideration. So with that being said, okay, with my claim, I think the market's going to correct soon. And I think we're going to be entering a consolidation phase and also see some downside. We have these unfilled gaps on SPY. We have some very close to 440. There are more at 430. There's another at 420. I don't know if we're going to go all the way down there, but there are some different things we could do to kind of identify this. And don't forget, what happens to SPY is going to affect Tesla. So here's how I think this is going to basically go. So we could take our Fibonacci retracement tool, and we could quite easily draw out our very handy Fibonacci retracement chart like this. The 0.618 retracements at this 435 level. I want you guys to remember that level. So I think there's a very good chance we're going to be reaching this level this year. 435, I think is going to come maybe even below that. I think the market's going to be pricing in the recession. Now, I think it's going to last for the first 5 months of the year where the market's just kind of consolidating, trading sideways. We pumped so hard in November and December, and this drop is going to be a trap. And I'm going to explain how this may end up playing out. So I'm going to switch over my tool and use a trend-based fib extension instead, because I think that this could be even more useful for like targets. But I think, and here's how I think it's going to go. The market is going to be very kind of weak how it is so far. We're going to see like, consolidation, these sell-offs, but there's not going to be a massive crash. The people on YouTube are saying a crash is coming. Well, if you describe us correcting back down to like 430, 440 as a crash, then sure, you could say that, but it's not going to be a crash to new lows. I don't see that coming. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a correction. They're going to price in the recession quickly. Then we're going to make a full-on recovery, and the market's going to run very hard approaching the end of the year and the election, because once we start correcting back down to like the 430s or 440s, this is going to become extremely fearful. People are going to start panicking, expecting a massive crash. They're going to start buying a ton of puts. The puts to call ratio on SPY is going to go berserk. And then we're going to see the mother of all short squeezes again. People thought I was crazy for saying back in October, I said the market's going to squeeze for November and December. I didn't get every move right when it came to like the inside days, the intradays, and etc. But I did call the squeeze, and that's what played out. And I think it's going to happen again. And I think it's going to happen for the second half of 2024. Now, What I think is going to happen is this, and I'm going to draw this out for you just to describe what this will look like. I can't predict exactly how low we'll go until we get closer to the date, guys. It depends on wars and different factors. I just don't truly know. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know exactly everything, but I do have a general idea of how this will likely play out. I think the market's going to see a lot of consolidation for the first few months. And then going into March, we're going to see a nice correction like this. And it might continue going into April. I think we're going to see at least 435 or so. I don't know if we're going to go all the way down to the 420s to fill our gaps or not. I don't really know if it's going to be the 420 gap fill or 435. Somewhere around here, it's going to bottom then. And then we're going to enter another period of consolidation. And then going into the summertime in June, the market is going to start squeezing shorts like crazy as we approach the election. I think we're going to see a very, very fast recovery like this. I think it's going to be crazy. And I think that we're going to be approaching new all time highs. It sounds crazy. You may see it's crazy, but look at this pump right here. SPY went from 409 to 478 within 2 months. Okay, in 2 months, it could do that. They're gonna pump it like crazy, another like cup and handle like formation, make the market look super strong approaching the election, which will increase the odds of Americans not looking as negatively at the economy. And it's not going to affect people's 401ks or investments as much, and this will increase the odds and actually support some politicians. I think that's what's going to happen. You may say that my little theories are crazy about politicians and this and that. Sure, make your claims, but don't forget the evidence I showed you. The first piece of evidence is that when the Fed was raising rates, the market priced it in, and the market bottomed in October of 2022, months and months and months before the Fed actually finished their rate hike cycle. The market priced it in fast, and we've been recovering since then. The market ran a lot, had a very strong year for 2023. Additionally, when people were fearful in October, I was saying it's the election year. They're not going to let the market close in a very low note. We had a cup and handle forming. They squeezed the shorts so horribly. People got annihilated. People got wiped out. It was crazy. And I think they're going to do it again. You must listen to me this time around, in my opinion. So don't take this like don't take this too literally. Like, we could still like kind of come up like this, correct back down, move sideways like this. Like, for instance, we could still see like volatility. It doesn't have to be exact, but this is my general view. Basically, the first 5 or so months are going to be full of consolidation, sideways price action, and some selling. Second half of the year, starting in June, it's going to be strong. We're going to respect an uptrend. There could be a month where we trade sideways, but then we're just going to continue to push and push and push and eventually break those all-time highs. I think that's what's going to happen. And they're going to cause a massive short squeeze to end the year. It's going to catch so many people off guard. That's what I'm predicting for the year, and I think that that's how it's going to pan out. I listed many different reasons. My analysis could change, though, depending on wars. If a certain country gets invaded, who knows? But for now, that's what I'm seeing, and that's what I find very probable. What does this mean for Tesla? Well, Tesla is very difficult for me to predict, guys, because it depends on earnings and things like that, which I can't predict perfectly right now. But I can tell you this. The chart on Tesla looks bullish as we have a very nice looking inverse head and shoulders like structure. I think, and this is very important for Tesla, I think the first thing we could do is kind of like look at how the recession will affect Tesla. Tesla might have more downside for the year, guys. It's likely not done yet. This year has been kind of bearish so far for Tesla. It's been correcting quite a bit. Our 0.618 retracement's at 180. So is it possible for Tesla to come down to 180? It is possible, but we have to lose 200 first. I'm not going to, lie and say it's going to crash unless we get confirmation of that. There's no confirmation of that truly happening. We haven't even lost 200, so I wouldn't rule that out. But I believe and I predict that this inverse head and shoulders will play out. But here's the thing about it. The chart is bullish, but we could consolidate for an extended period of time because of the recession. Okay? As the market starts to price it in, Tesla gets affected by the market. What do I mean by that? Look at how the market moved this year. SPY started selling off. We had a bearish looking week on SPY. Let me pull up the weekly and show you. Basically, the market sold off. The algorithms that dictate these charts, they caused a sell-off, right? Because the market ran so hard in November and December, this is no surprise. What did Tesla do for the weekly? Check out Tesla. Bearish weekly. All right. What about the IWM? Look at the weekly on the IWM. Bearish weekly, right? Apple, what did it do for the week? It sold off too. The market is running based off an algorithm that's dictating it. Even the QQQ was weak for the week. It also sold off for the week. Some stocks were exceptions, but for the most part, you could see how the market dictates Tesla. So the reason why I'm saying that is because the price comparison shows similar trends. Tesla tends to run with SPY, tends to fall with SPY, push with SPY, drop with SPY, push with SPY. It ended the year in a strong note, just like SPY, right? QQQ, look at Tesla and the QQQ. They push together, they drop together, they push together, drop, push together. They run very similarly. So for that reason, I presume that this inverse head and shoulders will pan out for Tesla. I don't know how low it will go if we do end up approaching that 180 retracement. I don't know for sure, guys. I don't want to make that claim. But here's my view. It's very simple. The first half of the year, the first 5 months may not be the strongest for Tesla, but the market's going to quickly price in the recession, and the second half is going to be strong. We're going to get a very strong second half of 2024, in my opinion. I think Tesla's going to make a very, very nice move to the upside. So this is basically my Fibonacci retracement charts. Uh, it is possible, and I want you guys to just remember these levels. We have like the 0.5 at 199, 0.618 at this support right over here. We're going to be watching those very carefully. Just remember those levels. Let me just mark them real quick so you can kind of like remember them. We have this 199 area, and then we also have 178 to 180. 150 seems like a bit of a stretch. I don't think it's going to retrace that badly unless something really catastrophic happens. But ultimately, I think that if Tesla were to retrace with SPY, if something bad were to happen, with demand issues because of the recession, it's always a possibility. But I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla kind of consolidates within this range for an extended period of time. It could consolidate like this. Maybe we get one more retracement like this when the market hits its bottom. And then finally, the market starts to rally, Tesla starts to uptrend very nicely, and then we start going for those all-time highs towards the end of the year. Wouldn't be surprised if we do something like this and we just start pushing and pushing and pushing, and we turn very parabolic to complete the inverse head and shoulders, and we eventually approach all-time highs by early 2025, if not by the end of this year, maybe even sooner. It could even happen sooner because of how fast this thing could run. So it might just make new all-time highs this year. It's a little hard to tell. But my point is the first 5 months or so may be full of consolidation, not the strongest for Tesla. But the second half of the year, starting in June, Tesla's going to be very parabolic. And I'm expecting this thing to be approaching all-time highs by year end, maybe even sooner. I think it's going to run very, very hard and completely catch people off guard. Why? Because when the market starts to correct, people are going to be panicking. They're going to short the hell out of the markets. They're going to short it so hard, and it's going to create a massive market-wide short squeeze approaching the election. Mark my words, guys. I called this in October of 2022. I said, not 22, 23. Sorry, guys. October 2023, I said, market's going to bottom. Expect a rally for November, December. It happened. Now I'm telling you the same thing is going to likely happen for the end of 2024. I think shorts are going to get squeezed again, and they're going to catch all these people saying the big crash is coming off guard. The market will see some kind of like mini crash correction, or whatever you want to call it, for the first 5 months or so, sure. But when we get close to the election, the manipulation will come out, shorts will get squeezed most likely, and historically the market tends to do well. We might see a very nice push for the second half of the year, in my honest opinion. I think Tesla's going to hold that, and we're going to get a very strong 2024. All right, that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully this was insightful. This is my general view of the markets. Take this with a grain of salt to some extent because I can't predict everything perfectly. I don't know if there's going to be a war coming out or anything like that, but my view has stayed the same, and I still think that this is most likely what's going to happen as of right now. That's my view. Take care, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Tesla in the market to the moon because the long term is very bright, and peace out.